What if you're not a procrastinator? You just burnt out. I really feel like this can help some of us. I'm going to be reading from my notebook. Excuse the coughing in advance because I know it's coming. Sometimes we do not give ourselves the same grace that God gives us, but we will hurt ourselves tremendously giving grace to others. What I mean by this is, say you got a family member or friend, you in a relationship, they constantly hurting you and you love them so much, you know what you say? Because I love God, because I want to walk like Christ, I'm going to give them grace. But we do not give ourselves that same amount of grace. What if God emphasizes how important it is for you to love thy neighbor as you love yourself? Because if the basis of loving your neighbor comes from how you love yourself, then you have to really sit and be intentional on how you love yourself, which includes how much grace you give yourself and how loving your conversations are with yourself. What if we mislabel being burnt out as being lazy? I realized that after I have been locked in for so long doing everything I'm supposed to, everything that God told me to, sometimes I end up having these moments where I look up and a week has gone by and I haven't done anything that I was considering as productive. And my first thought is to say, I'm off my game, I have no motivation, and I'm procrastinating. Instead of saying, like, wow, look at these last 8 weeks. I have really been doing a good job at executing. Now I feel my body needing rest. I'm going to take a few weeks off, then I'm going to get back to it. Instead of that, we have all of this negative self-talk that we dress up as holding ourselves accountable and being self-aware. What if the loss of motivation after being consistent for so long was God's invitation to give us rest? But we mistake movement for the only form of productivity. When our phone battery is low, we don't try to keep forcing it to turn on. We don't try to keep forcing ourselves to use it even though the battery is low. We simply put it on the charger, and sometimes we don't even use it until it gets to a certain level of power, because taking it off too quick after using it so much can make it hot, it can make it start glitching and not perform right if it's not at a certain level. But we think that taking a break is not being a good steward from the mindset hustle culture has instilled in us. And like, I want to also say that, say God however old you is now, God allow you to see 60 more years. If God gonna bless you with 60 more years, what is it being a good steward if you keep on pushing past the stage where you burnt out? Or is it being a good steward if you just go reset and rest so you can be the most efficient when you are in that action, if that makes sense? You know, like, if God gonna give you 40 more years, I'm not saying like go play around, but what is the harm in taking a 2-week break? Actually, you doing more harm by not taking that break. But okay, in Luke chapter 10, Jesus goes to Martha's house and her sister sits at Jesus' feet. Mary sits at Jesus' feet and listens to him, but Martha starts doing her daily work while Jesus is present and get mad at her sister for not helping her. And Jesus tells her that she's worried about the wrong thing. Her being upset about not getting any help makes me think about burnout and being overwhelmed. Because Jesus never said the work didn't need to get done eventually, but he did acknowledge the fact that sitting at his feet in that moment was the best and the only right decision. We spend so much of our time that we could be using to rest, talking bad about ourselves and thinking about the works we should be doing, that our rest time turns into anxiousness. Then eventually it's time to get back to the movement and get back to the works. But our minds never really got rest because we spent the whole duration saying we're procrastinating instead of putting ourselves back on the charger by sitting at God's feet. This might be why we go too far into the wrong thing, because just like in a game, the coach calls a timeout. Even though he called a certain play during the timeout, he might make some adjustments of the play based on how the opponents are performing. A lot of times we feel out because we are not showing up at Jesus' feet during the timeout session because we're more dedicated to the current play rather than the creator of the play. And I really hope that really helped me, y'all. So don't be afraid of rest. I'm not saying don't be a good steward of your time. Yes, be a good steward of your time. But if you feel your body being burnt out and you've been doing good for 8 weeks, you normally don't even do good for 1 week. But you've been doing good for 8 weeks and you feel yourself, you burnt out. And you start saying, oh, I ain't got no motivation. You just need to get back on the charger. Go sit at Jesus' feet and see if he changed any details to the play. Amen? Amen.